What a deal. If they could only get those things to get more than about 0.5 miles of the gallon, they'd really be onto something. Right now, though, Kenny Bernstein and Mark Oswald go to the line.
And you wonder when you buy that computer if you get the same one. You know what I mean, Brock?
Well, Kenny is really doing a job. He and that crew have come to a point where they are almost indomitable. This is, anytime you go up against them, it's a David and Goliath act here. And right now, here's David. That is Mark Oswald inside the Candies and Hughes cockpit.
Well, this will be a disappointed crowd if that red car in the near lane can't get to the finish line first. They just live and breathe for that particular machine, and it's not going to happen. It is going to be Kenny Bernstein by a country mile. Oh, boy. He is really going to have them talking to themselves with this one. A 576, 245 miles an hour, when everyone else is stuck in the 6s and the 590s. Bernstein is dominant here.
More round two funny car action here at the 7-Eleven Cajun Nationals. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm Brock Yates along with Steve Evans. Had Bruce here as well. The temperature's going up. The engines are fired. That is Ron Corretti's Captain Crazy car. Remember, you saw it on fire during a qualifying round. And then a wild race in which he beat out Texan Billy Meyer. Corretti up against one of the really nice guys in this business, John Collins.
He is a treat to be around. You're right, Brock. Now, his competition, Ron Corretti from Indiana, has been knocking around this sport for years in Top Fuel and Funny Car. As I mentioned earlier, new to this ride. John Collins, when he's not racing the quarter mile, he's raising cutting horses on the family spread in Oklahoma. You know, Brock, I can't imagine John Collins could even come to the starting line here in Baton Rouge without remembering that incredible two-car collision with Ed McCullough just a year ago. But he's back. A lot of people said he couldn't recoup, but he sure did.
And back in a big way. He's been running very, very well with that funny car in the last couple of races, but still, the big victory eludes John Collins, as it does Ron Corretti. Neither one of these guys have a major victory under their belt.
And I'll tell you what, if they flambe that Captain Crazy car one more time, there won't be enough left of it to race. That wasn't the only fire that car has suffered. You know, they worked so hard between rounds to get these cars ready. Well, there's a new device that'll help greatly in the area of the clutch. I looked at it earlier.
Drag racers just love gadgets. Anything that'll save them time on the racetrack or in the pits. Now, this is a clutch disc. There's 4 of these in the slider clutches in the Top Fuel Directors and Funny Cars. When the car is serviced in the pits, these discs are red hot. They are warped. They have got to be made flat again. Now, Fred Miller here from the Blue Mask Crew, this is how Fred has had to do it for years. Grind both sides of all 4 discs, a very time-consuming and inaccurate procedure. Now, Tony McGleasy here has developed the portable disc grinder. He and his son Lonnie build slider clutches. Look at this gadget. Boy, the racers are going to love this. The disc goes on. There's an abrasive sanding disc in the box. Push the button. It spins it up to 400 RPMs and will grind it to any tolerance you like. You shut the door so all the dust and little pieces go out the bottom instead of in the atmosphere. I tell you, this could save up to 10 or 15 minutes getting a car ready for the next round. It only sells for $500. Boy, I'll tell you, this gadget's going to be real popular.
Could replace tape decks as the next big craze in the car business, Steve, as we watch Ron Corretti and the Captain Crazy car get ready to go against Collins.
It is John Collins off the mark first, but here comes Corretti. He is really driving that race car, and he gets there first. Lots of smoke, but no sign of any fire. How about Corretti? He was off the mark a little late, but he sure made up for it down the course. He wins it at 596, 242 miles an hour.
Terrific drive by Corretti. This is a big surprise. This Captain Crazy car is running as well as it's ever run. We sort of thought Collins might have him. There's a lot of smoke. Corretti looks like he's going a little sideways. All over the racetrack, Collins goes straight. But in the end, it's Ron Corretti by a wink. Terrific drag race. Okay, he'll go into the semifinal round, something of an underdog.
Well, the body may be a bit flambéed, but for Ron Corretti, this is his best day in National Event Funny Car Racing. Good job.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Lots of smoke.
We heard it that time. We got some work to do.
Have you got the parts and the pieces?
Yeah, we got the parts. Yeah, we'll be back. Some way we'll be back.
Well, you've already proven that, coming back from that fire on Friday.
Thank you.
All right, Ron Corretti got some work, as he says, back in the pit area. They hurt that motor pretty badly. A disappointed and a somewhat surprised John Collins comes over. Always a traditional handshake at the far end of the racetrack. These competitors very, very much sportsmen when it is all over. All right, the next pair, the big name, Don Prudhomme against the unsponsored car from Columbus, Ohio, Jim Head. Probably one of the biggest upset winners in the history of drag racing when he won the U.S. Nationals last year, Steve.
And he won the U.S. Nationals, Brock, not with sheer power, but by not making mistakes. When you go up to race Jim Head, you've got to beat him. He seldom beats himself. And remember, these are both new power plants since the first round, unproven in some ways.
Interesting strategy. Head uses, he's a lot like a golfer who doesn't hit very far off the tee, but always stays in the middle of the fairway. Very consistent, very conservative. Jim Head knocked around this sport for a long time in top fuel cars and funny cars. He's up against one of the greats in this sport, Don Prudhomme, a pioneer in top fuel cars, four-time world champion in the funny cars.
Don Prudhomme was the first to ever top 250 miles an hour, and he did it a couple of years ago on this very racetrack. Boy, Jim Head's car is pretty, isn't it, Brock?
It sure is. Doesn't have a whole lot of sponsor decals on it, but the paint job is beautiful, and it's a very simple, very clean operation. Kind of symbolic of the way he runs his pole racing program.
Now, Head is not a full-time professional. He and his family operate a big electrical contracting firm in the central Ohio area. Now, Head wants to race. He's moving up to the starting line. Prudhomme taking another shot at a very short burnout. The drag racers call them dry hops.
I wonder if that is a result of this racetrack getting slipperier, Steve.
Prudhomme, I believe, has shut his car off. He has. Prudhomme, not liking the sound of it, shuts it off. It'll be Jim Head on a single run, and I could have told you this had happened. Jim Head is not going to make an all-out run. He doesn't care about lane choice. He cares more about saving the nitromethane and the parts.
And there is one very disappointed Don Prudhomme. His adrenaline was up. He was ready to race, and suddenly the engine shut down, and he is out of it for the day. A very tough break for the former world champion. Okay, the funny car semifinal pairings will have a couple of new faces. Ron Coretti versus Jim Head. Force versus Kenny Bernstein. Bernstein, of course, the most familiar and the most successful of that lot. As Don Prudhomme gets ready to go, let's go to Steve, who's in the Kenny Bernstein pit as he gets ready for his next run.
Well, you got to be a lot of things in this sport, including a chemist, as Kenny Bernstein takes a measurement on the nitro reading. Can you tell us how much?
Sure, we're up to 94% today. Which
94%?
Yeah, it's quite a bit for us, or for most of them, but you got to realize it's real hot out, and the hotter out it is, the more you can actually put in it. So it's a little different today than normal.
You know, of the cars remaining, John Force is not the one you wanted.
No, I've got the tough ladder side today. Needless to say, we started off with a tough one, and then we caught Oswald in a second, and Force is, like you say, I could have picked a lot better.
Force can beat you on desire.
Well, he can. He's a very, very hard competitor, and he wants to win as badly as anybody does. And don't forget, he's got an excellent crew chief over there also in Austin Coyle.
Should be a good car race.
It will be. No question about it.
Well, hardcore drag racing fans will recognize the name Austin Coyle. He is the man who wrenched the Chi-Town Hustler to 2 world championships with Frank Hawley at the wheel, Steve Evans, and definitely one of the best guys in this business when it comes to preparing a funny car.
Well, that's Austin right there getting John Force's car ready. Austin Coyle, next to Dale Armstrong on Kenny's crew, is probably the highest paid wrench the drag racing sport has ever seen, and he deserves every dime of it. This is an 80-hour week business.
And mostly involved with a fuel system these days, Steve. The rest of the engines are pretty basic, but the technology of fuel systems continues to advance, and Coyle is one of the few guys who understands it. Let's see how well it works for him when his car goes in the next round of funny cars. Back at Baton Rouge, where the big surprise in funny cars, Ron Coretti getting into the semifinals. Steve is in his pit.
Okay, Brock, Donnie Couch, one of the mechanics on the Captain Crazy car, just hollered out, it got the crank. And that's the worst thing that you can possibly hear, and it generally means that an engine change may have to occur here after everything else these guys have gone through. Donnie, you got the crankshaft?
Yeah, but I think we can sand it off.
All right, they're going to try to use some emery cloth and sand what they call the Black Death off of the crankshaft. We'll update you, Brock, as if they can do that.
Well, Steve, these guys are notorious innovators, and if there is a chance to field strip that engine and make it work for the short term, they'll do it. All right, the competition here, of course, is Jim Head. That is his crew hard at work. That's Jim himself wrenching the car. He's right in there with the rest of the crew all the way.
Well, there's nothing fun about this particular job here, Brock. That's the diver I referred to earlier. 90 degrees outside, 90% humidity, oil running in his eyes as he checks the bearings. Let's take a break and go to Ed Bruce.
Cajun Nationals have provided drag racing fans with many exciting moments to remember. Some thrilling, some bone-chilling. See if you can remember this action from last year's Cajun competitions. In the funny cars, it was John Collins and Ed McCulloch. Without a doubt, one of the most incredible crashes in the history of drag racing. Let's take another look at the crash in slow motion to analyze what happened. John Collins in the far lane and Ed McCulloch in the near lane. At first, both cars appeared to be okay. Then suddenly, McCulloch lost control and slammed into John Collins. Collins' car spun and rolled over as Ed McCulloch's car got up on the razor edge of the guardrail. Then McCulloch's car dropped off the guardrail, and in front of Collins, he careened across the track once more and exploded in flames against the guardrail. At this point, both cars were upside down and consumed in flames. Finally at rest, and it was then we noticed raw fuel was pouring out of Collins' car. But luckily it didn't ignite, and then miraculously both men emerged, shaken up, but unhurt. A real tribute to the strict safety requirements of the NHRA.
And Ed, we see why the rare two-car collision is the most dreaded accident in drag racing. Here's an update on the Ron Careni situation. The motor is staying in the car. They have sanded that crankshaft. And crankshaft damage, Brock, has to be taken very seriously, because if that crankshaft breaks or seizes on a run, that is the quickest way there is to bring one of these cars right to the ground.
You're absolutely right. So the Careni car getting ready to go as we get into the pro stock ranks. That, of course, is Etta Glidden, Bob's wife, the lady who has done so much to make this particular car the fastest in the business.
And this will be an all Thunderbird affair, Brock. In the far lane, that is Frank Iaconio from New Jersey. His first year with a Ford product. He has been a Chevrolet man his entire career. But with Bob Glidden from Indiana running as he has been with that Ford Thunderbird, I guess Iaconio just said, I better switch.
Well, Steve, remember that Glidden had about a season trying to get this car right. Iaconio still having teething problems with his Ford.
And Iaconio was off the starting line late. Rarely will you see that. Glidden was right on time and wins it by well over a car length. A nice elapsed time, 7.68 seconds, 182 miles an hour. Let's take a look at it one more time off the starting line, and I'm sure you'll see the advantage Bob Glidden enjoyed.
You sure do. Right there, Glidden in the blue and white Thunderbird in the left side of your screen, out early. And from there on in, it's just a straight pass for Glidden. So consistent. Iaconio, as you say, surprisingly late. But it may be that he's still distracted with trying to get that Ford Thunderbird sorted out. So Glidden on the threshold of another championship.
Going into the finals of the Cajuns, the Ford Thunderin'.
We've come through this thing so far, Steve. We lucked through the last race at Atlanta. We need one more round here, and we'll be looking really good.
Okay, go get him.
Thank you.
Well, as you know, the winningest man in modern drag racing history, Bob Glidden, gets ready to go back. He'll tweak that motor a little bit more and get ready for the final round. His opponent will be one of these two next men on the line. That's Warren Johnson, Ken Dondero, Camaro versus Oldsmobile. Ken Dondero from California, a longtime veteran, known to be a fine driver. Warren Johnson, on the other hand, a technical expert, the only man really to make these big displacement Oldsmobile engines work. He has been really the arch rival of Glidden over the last couple of seasons, now living in Duluth, Georgia, where he makes those 500 cubic inch Oldsmobile engines just sing. Ken Dondero, Balboa Island, retired for a while, ran very well in the sportsman ranks in his younger days, now back into pro stock and known, as I said before, to be one of the finest pure drivers in this business. But so it's going to be driving style against raw horsepower. This little Oldsmobile Calais of Warren Johnson's, they had some handling problems with it earlier in the season. They seem to have gotten that sorted out. So Warren Johnson off a little bit early. Looks as though he's carving out a slight advantage over Dondero and goes on to take a two-car length victory. 762, 181 miles an hour, setting the stage for a Glidden-Johnson shootout in the finals. Okay, with that stage set, let's go back to the pit area. Don Garlitz and Steve Evans.
Well, Don, your car looks all ready for round number 2. You must be getting ready for round number 3. That's confident.
Well, you got to look at this with a positive outlook. You know, even though 100 miles of barbed wire hit us straight in the face, we're still marching forward.
The crew's hoping you got that reverser fixed. It's about 90 degrees outside.
You can't hardly take that, and look at what it's doing to the engine. It's backsiding the engine before it ever gets back.
So the reverser going out actually affects the motor?
It kills the motor. Yeah, we had blue smoke puffing before we ever got back to this finish line, starting line.
Let's hope she backs up under her own power. Huh?
We got an old transmission in there now. It should be fine.
You hate those new parts.
Oh, I hate them. Well, you got to massage them.
What a character. One of the greatest in the history of this sport.